Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Amanda the author, and I am back with another video. Today I am talking about 5 book marketing mistakes that you should avoid. And keeping it 100, I have made every single one of these mistakes. So the advice I'm about to give you is from my own experience and also all of the research that I have done in my author career so far. And I can tell you that all of these mistakes have affected my book marketing in one way or another. So I'm not just giving you first-hand knowledge, but I know from experience that they are mistakes and that they can affect your book marketing. So before I get started, if you are an author and you are looking for tips on all aspects of the authoring game, from writing to marketing and even some self-care, go ahead and subscribe and kick it with me every Thursday. And also, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me and what I have going on outside of this YouTube channel, check the description for links to my socials, a link to join my newsletter, and links to get these beautiful books behind me. So let's get started. Mistake number 1 is not having a marketing strategy to begin with. It's kind of hard to fail at a strategy if you don't have one in place. And if you're wondering what a strategy is when it comes to your marketing, it's basically you sitting down and figuring out how you're going to let people know who you are as an author and what you have to offer. Because make no mistake, when it comes to putting together a strategy and when it comes to marketing your work, you have to remember that you, not your books, you are your author brand. You're going to release so many works over the course of your career, and it's important to remember that the entire time you are selling yourself to people, you're selling experience, not your individual books. That said, it's important to have a strategy in place to figure out how to promote yourself and then also your individual works. But don't feel bad if you don't have a marketing strategy. Everybody starts from somewhere, and I certainly didn't have one in March 2020, which was when I initially wanted to publish To Hysteria with Love. It's part of why I decided to push publication back until June so that I could actually sit down and figure out a strategy, figure out my brand, and what it is I wanted to put out into the world. And make no mistake, you will be constantly evolving and fine-tuning and updating your strategy as you go along. Hell, I took an entire ass break from like Thanksgiving to before Christmas, and during that time, in addition to getting my mental together, I was putting together a new strategy for me and my brand and my books, both already published and upcoming. The first thing you want to do is start thinking about your target audience, who you are writing these books for and who you primarily want to be picking them up. And then once you have your target audience in mind, you can start to do some research and think about where they are active the most. Are they people who are super active on Twitter, or is Instagram more of their game? What about TikTok? Facebook groups? Also look into email marketing statistics and see how they engage with email marketing, Amazon ads, etc. Knowing who your audience is and kind of setting your strategy up around that is going to put you in a much better spot than putting together a strategy and hoping that your audience will find you. Once you have figured this out, you can decide on the tools you're going to use and put together an editorial calendar where you pre-plan or at least plan out ideas surrounding your social posts, your newsletter, any kind of ads that you're doing, any guest opportunities, a blog, maybe some videos if you're going to join Author 2, and a whole lot more. It's also important to be thinking through any ads you might be doing, any newsletter swaps, or any guest opportunities so that you can put your work and your beautiful mug out there in the world. Mistake number 2, relying solely on social media for all of your book marketing. Ooh, honey, now this is one I'm especially guilty of, so I'm going to remind myself and tell you that social media is not a sales tool. It is a connection tool. It's not a sales tool, it's a connection tool. It's entirely possible that you could sell a handful of books via an Instagram post or a TikTok video, and if you have a larger following, maybe you're selling multiple handfuls. But ultimately, it's about connection, because your following and the people who like your posts, it's not guaranteed. What happens if Instagram just goes away or TikTok stops popping and then there it goes? Y'all remember what happened with Vine? So it's important to think about this as a way to connect with your readers, to get them to know who you are, keep you top of mind, and to use this as an opportunity to guide them to your landing page or your newsletter. And I get it. Social media, it's free. It's easy and free to get Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You don't have to pay for it. And in this economy, it can be really daunting to think about having to pay for something to be able to market your book. But there are low-cost ways to promote your work, and probably the most important is a newsletter. Now you might be saying, Amanda, my target audience are Gen Zers. There's no way in fuck they're reading a newsletter. And that's not true. Gen Zers do read newsletters, they just have to be compelling and interesting. So it's on you to make sure that the content that you're bringing them is relevant, topical, and that they vibe with it, just like with your social media posts. And putting together a newsletter, while it does take time, is not that expensive. There are plenty of tools that are free or low cost, like MailChimp, Flowdesk, Constant Contact, etc. And when you have a newsletter, you can look into swap opportunities on places like BookFunnel and StoryOrigin. A newsletter swap is when you and another author agree to swap mentions in your newsletter. You can include a universal book link, you can include a lead magnet, you can even include a cover reveal if you want. I would check out StoryOrigin and BookFunnel once you start working on your newsletter for swap opportunities. Now I'm going to be dragging some folks with this next mistake, but I'll also be dragging myself with this. So if you feel some type of way, know that Amanda, the author, is in the same boat as you. And so mistake number 3 is only talking about your book, books, works, whatever. As a creative, I think it's only natural to want to be talking about your work. I mean, it takes so much blood, sweat, and tears, and days consumed with imposter syndrome to put out a book, a video, a new blog post, etc. But if that's all you're talking about is, look at my cover, look at my book, I put out a book, how beautiful these covers are, oh, read this book, check out this review, they read the book, they really liked it, oh, my book's on sale. If that's all you're doing, you are going to turn people off. They're going to be thinking that you're spamming them, that all you're doing is angling for sales, and that's desperate energy, honey, and you don't need to be putting that out in the world. So here's what you should do instead. Try to strike a balance when it comes to your book marketing. And I'm saying book marketing because I'm not only talking about your social posts, I'm talking about your newsletters, your blogs, videos, and what have you. Try to strike up a balance in your marketing where you're only doing promo posts maybe 20 to 30% of the time. And you might be wondering, what the hell else am I going to talk about in these streets if not for my fucking book? Well, here are some examples of things that you can talk about in all of your book marketing. Like I said, it's not just a problem with your social media. If every single newsletter you send out to your list is all about buying my book, they're going to get turned off. They won't read your newsletter and either unsubscribe you or just leave your stuff unopened, and that hurts too. So here are a few things that you can talk about. Talk about books that you've read that you liked, or even ones you hated. Talk about movies, TV shows, and podcasts that are in your genre that you liked and didn't like, or that you recommend. Recommend and champion some work by your fellow authors. Talk about a cause or a bit of news that you care about, for the good and the bad. Give some advice to other authors. Talk about the genre that you write in and what you like about it. And maybe, do a once a week you talk about a different aspect of the genre. Ask questions of your readers. What's your favorite type of horror? And did you like this book? And hey, I'm looking for a new book to read. Give me a recommendation. Also, ask questions that are kind of silly and fun that don't have anything to do with reading. Like, do you like coffee or do you like tea? What's your favorite kind of music? Should the green M&M be allowed to keep her heels? Things like that. And also, because your brand is about you, on social media, you can post selfies. This is especially good when you're doing author photos because you can post all of them and get people's opinion on what should be your photo. Mistake number 4 is not having a book pitch ready. And what's a book pitch? Exactly what it sounds like. It is you pitching your book. It can be anywhere from a sentence to a couple paragraphs to a full page synopsis. Now, I'm sure you've seen those Facebook posts or tweets especially that are writer's lived or shameless self-promo and things like that, where people are saying, I'm actively looking to support other authors, so post about your book. And if you don't have a compelling pitch ready, you could be sitting there for minutes or even hours trying to figure out how to make your book sound interesting. And in the end, you might just give up because it's hard to come up with a pitch on the fly. And if you give up in these circumstances and you don't take that opportunity to pitch your book, you could be missing out on reaching a lot of potential readers. And a pitch is useful for a lot of different things, not just promoting your work on social. It's good to help you find your publishing team if you're indie. It's good for an Amazon ad. It's good to help you if you're looking to get your work into a library or if you're looking to get your book into a book box and more. It's important to have multiple types of pitches that serve different purposes. You want to have a shorter pitch, which could be good for an Amazon ad and also for a tweet. You want to have a slightly longer pitch. That's good for when you're asked in an interview what your book is about, or if you're asked to submit it for a guest spot. Think elevator pitch, which should be no longer than 3 sentences, and a synopsis, which could be anywhere from a couple of paragraphs to a full page. Now, you might be inclined to want to include every single thing about your book in your pitch, but don't do it. Only include the highlights and the most important aspects of your book. You want to have some kind of hook in there that will get people interested in your book. And don't just one and done it. It might take several tries for you to get your pitch down. Have other people read it. Have your mama read it. Have your partner read it. Have your cat read it. Have your author friends read it. Send your pitch to a lot of people to get their feedback. And it's also important to practice your pitch out loud. So if you are in an interview situation, it doesn't feel foreign in your mouth when you're trying to talk about your book. You want it to be effortless and you want it to feel good and like it just rolls off the tongue when you're talking about your pitch. So when you do get interviews, it's not awkward. Now, our final mistake number 5, is not being confident in what you're promoting. And this isn't exactly a if you can't love yourself type moment. It's just that you've got to believe in yourself and your talent in order to truly captivate people. Remember, you did a huge, big thing. You took time, you sat down, however long it took you, you're disciplined enough to not only start a book, but to finish it. And then you took time to either query an agent and keep querying and keep querying and keep querying until you found one and go through that process. Or if you're indie, you found your publishing team, you found a cover designer, an interior layout designer, and an editor, not in that order. But you did all of that, you had beta readers look at it, and no matter which route you took, at the end of the day, you came out with a book. And that is huge. That is monumental. And if you've done it multiple times, hell yeah, girl, you better toot your horn. So be confident in the fact that you have accomplished something wonderful. You're kind of a big deal, so make sure you act like it. Now, this isn't to say that you should go around with a big ego and being extra and being rude. It's just to say, lead with confidence when it comes to talking about your book. You know your book more than anybody else because you wrote the damn thing. So when you're doing interviews, be confident. Make eye contact. Have your pitch memorized and ready so that it's effortless when you talk about your book. Also, be confident when you're posting on social, when you're doing a video, when you're doing any kind of promo. Lead with confidence. All right, friends, let's recap. The first mistake is not having a marketing strategy. The second one is relying only on social media for your book marketing. The third is only talking about your book. Number 4 is not having your pitch ready. And number 5 is not being confident when you're talking about your work. Like I said, I've made all of these mistakes at one point in my career or another, and potentially might in the future. So, like all of my videos, this is as much a tutorial and tip and trick and advice sesh for you as it is for me. Now, if you'd like me to do a deep dive into any of these topics, especially how to create a book pitch or maybe some tips on social media posts, go ahead and leave a hands raised emoji in the comments so that I know you made it this far and that I know you're interested in those videos. So once again, I'm Amanda the author. I make videos that explore all aspects of authoring, from writing to marketing and also some self-care. If you'd like to learn a little bit about me and what I do beyond this YouTube channel, you can catch the links in the description below where you'll find a link to my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. There's also a link there for you to join my newsletter and links for you to get these beautiful fantasy books behind me that I have created. I post one video a week every Thursday, and if you enjoyed this one, leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, and I will catch you later. Bye!